Hello, everyone. Welcome to my first live stream. My name is Jerome Parker. Those of you who don't know me, I am a entrepreneur and software engineer. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I own a consulting company, J Computer Solutions LLC. We place engineers at various companies in need. Uh, I've had I've done work for Apple. I've done work for Sephora. I've done work for GE. I've done work for Dell. I've worked with clients all around the world, and I also write apps on the side for my personal sake. Uh, One of them being Treat Me at Home, which there is a link on the video. It's a treatmeathome.online. And basically, that's an on demand app that connects service providers with people who need those services done at home. So let's say you do hair. Uh, well, somebody who needs their hair done, they can pull up the app and be like, who's somebody who can come to me and do my hair in my area, and then you find the person, you book time, you pay them right on the app. You meet up, do what you do, and everybody's happy. Today is going to be an introduction into what it means to be a programmer, what is coding, what is software development, how can you get into it, and what are the challenges and the rewards. So before we get into that, I'm going to ask that if you have any questions, please, there is a live chat. So please don't hesitate to ask me any questions. In fact, I see there are two people watching. So those who are online, I would like to know who you are, where you're from, and how you came to come to the channel. But in the meantime, coding. So my definition of programming or coding is the art of making a computer do what you want it to do. Let's go ahead and turn off these notifications because I am streaming right now. Thank you. So yeah, you make a computer do what you want it to do. So, whether that's making a robot arm pick up a glass bottle or writing a web application that takes online payments. At the end of the day, it all translates to math in the computer. I see my man Stuart Brown's tuned in. What's up, Stuart? How you doing, bro? Share it. If you like it, share it with people. I want as many people watching as possible. So back to what I was saying. So coding is making a computer do what you want it to do. So you give a computer a set of instructions. That computer takes those instructions and then it compiles it, or it translates it down to binary ones and zeros. That stuff you see on the matrix in the green, all that's binary code. But nowadays most people, we write on a high level language. So we'll use a language like Ruby or PHP or C++ or Java. And when you write that code, it breaks down to the computer what to do. So I think the closest thing I can say programming is algebra. You're giving it a set of variables and you're just trying to solve problems, and you're making these computers solve these problems at high speeds. So let me give you an example. What's something that could be used for coding? All right, let's say you have an Excel spreadsheet, right? And on this spreadsheet, you have a column that's amounts, dollars due. And let's say you got thousands and thousands and thousands. Well, you could, do it manually, or you could tell the computer, you could give it what's called a script, whether you do it as a macro in Excel or you use some other language that can open up Excel files and read the thing. You just tell it to, grab the list. Let's say there's 20,000. So from grab the 20,000, add it all up, give you a nice display. I guess I'm rambling here. Let me talk about how I got into coding. So my mother, she went to Sullivan University for IT management. I was around 8 or 9 at the time. And I remember, I don't know what I did, but I had gotten in trouble. She told me I had to go clean the bookshelf. Well, I threw a tantrum, knocked all the books off. Would you know it? The book that falls on top is a Deedle and Deedle Java, I want to say third or fourth edition um, handbook. And it was a book about this thick, and on the cover, it had a picture of some ants, and I thought it was like a comic book. So I picked it up, and I was an avid reader in the third grade. I tested at a 12th grade reading level, so I was actually able to comprehend most of the book. And we got our first computer like a year, half a year after the fact, and it already had Java installed on it. So I literally just followed from the book. And then I wrote my first video game when I was 10 or 11 ish. And I started my first company when I was 14. That same company ended up still being J Computer Solutions, which I still run to this day. Um, that being said, I tell people programming, if you once you break it down in its granularity, it's very easy. I picked it up as a child. And I find when I try to explain programming to children, they tend to get it easier than adults. And I think it's because adults like to overcomplicate things. People just expect it to be difficult. So, how did I take that and translate it to what I'm doing now? So, first of all, let me give you a disclaimer: I do not have a college degree. I dropped out of college. Honestly, my views on the education system is that it really doesn't fit the 21st century paradigm. I've actually met a lot of engineers out in Silicon Valley who don't have degrees. Um, and it's very fascinating because there's such a stigma on the East Coast to just go into this massive debt to get these advanced tech degrees. Well, technology advances so fast. By the time you get that degree, most of what you learned is obsolete. And I I don't regret going to college because I did learn a lot socially. I learned a lot about the business aspect of it. College is just a breeding ground for innovation. I was part of several startups. Um, but academically speaking, I'm not going to say I didn't learn anything, but there was a lot of self teaching, which I've always done. I've always been autodidactic, but like I said, a lot of stuff they were teaching us was obsolete. And that just didn't really sit right with me. I was going into all this massive debt to learn stuff that's obsolete. When at the end of the day, I'm end up going to Stack Overflow and reading about it anyway. And then, so I dropped out of college and just did my own thing because I had done so many apps and things while in high school and working for myself. I was able to actually get a senior level position as my first position out of college, and that was in Dell in Lexington. Those of you familiar with Lexington, Kentucky, I was working in the Blue Building. There was an office there for Dell, and I was doing web development, which brings me to my next point. What are the different types of programming? So, I specialize in web programming and mobile programming with an emphasis on back end web technology. So, what does that mean? So, I like to write the services that the mobile apps consume to get your real time data. So when you're on your mobile phone, like when you're on Facebook, for example, and you update your timeline, when you're updating your timeline, it has to go up to a server somewhere and fetch that data down. I like to write the components that fetch that data and organize that data. That being said, I am considered what's a full stack engineer, which means I do back end and front end. So I do the visual part, I do the back end part, and then I also write the mobile apps. And I do native Android, native iOS, and hybrid mobile development. And I'll get into what all that different jargon means later in subsequent videos. But needless to say, I'm kind of a all around guy. I'm currently working from home full time. Um, I have my main income stream, and I have several passive income streams coming from different apps that I've done. Some of them for companies, some of them for myself. I see we got 6 people on. Who joined? Join on the chat. Tell me who's here. What's up? You guys have any questions? What do you want me to talk about? I'm kind of new to this. So I would like any and all participation. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys taking the time out to do it, to watch this stream. But back to what I was saying. YOW0XY. Okay. How you doing, man? What's good? What's your name? Who are you? I appreciate it. Up, drop down to 4. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So I specialize in these technologies. So generally what I like to do, I like working with small companies, even though one of my main contracts is Sephora, and I am a lead full stack engineer for them there. I really like working with small companies. So, what's up, Peter Ariosa? My boy Ariosa, he works with me on one of my contracts. Cool dude. He needs to get up on here one day. I'm gonna do an interview with you. He's also a DJ. He's gonna help me out with my Go DJ project. So, uh, my boy Chaz, what's up? I also got to do an interview with Chaz. He's the one who introduced me to Laravel. But what I like to do, I like to go to companies, tell them, hey, I see you have a problem here. I can make a solution to fix it. Not only can I do a website, I can make a mobile application for you, and nobody can beat my prices because I do it all. And typically that works. And sometimes they even let me keep a percentage, and I love those. I love those contracts. It always build residual income when you can. Let's see. What else? Let's talk about what this program is going to be like. So my goal is to try to do 1 hour daily. I'm some days I'm going to do um, kind of like what we're doing right now, just more of an open Q&A type thing. I'll talk about what's going on in tech news. I'll talk about what's going on uh, in the workplace, the newest trends. I'm going to try to do at least one interview a week. And then also twice a week, I'm going to do live coding sessions so you can actually watch me build my apps. So I'll have tutorials, I'll have live coding sessions, I'll have interviews, and I'll have tech talks and tech news. I haven't quite figured out my schedule yet. What I'm thinking is Tuesdays and Thursdays can be live coding sessions. I can do interview Fridays, and then tech talk Monday, Wednesday. That's kind of what I'm at right now. Or tech talk Monday, programming tutorial Wednesday. So we'll see where that goes. But regardless, I am going to try to keep this very consistent. And I would appreciate if you guys subscribe to my channel. That way you'll get updates on when I'm going live and when I upload pre-recorded material. Which brings me to my other point. I do own a blog, JyroneParker.com. That is JyroneParker.com. Um, and I do program tutorials focusing on Laravel. What is Laravel? So say I do web development, and one of the tools that you use in web development, depending on what language you decide you want to write it in, is you use a thing called a framework, and a framework is basically a pre-made bundle of software used for a specific purpose. So Laravel is a web framework. So it's written in the backend language is PHP, and I'll explain what PHP. I'm gonna do a whole PHP tutorial. So if you've never done PHP before, uh, it's gonna be called From Noob to Artisan. I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, so it's a web framework. It's written in PHP and it allows me to write all my web applications. So I will. Where was I going with that? So yeah, I'll be doing tutorials and stuff on that. We'll be writing things from blogs, e-commerce sites, and hopefully if I can get my real time media player server, the Playwright, I'll do a live stream app. That's going to be my ultimate goal. But yeah, so my goal is for you guys who've never coded before is that hopefully after spending about 2 3 months with me, you'll understand the basis of coding, maybe even writing your own code yourself. And for those of you who already are familiar with software development, specifically Laravel or Android or iOS, then I'm hoping that my streams will help to answer any questions you might have on the intermediate level. So that's why really want your guys' participation. What kind of apps do you guys want to see being watch being programmed? Um, Maybe you might be working on your own apps and you have a question. You might need help with it algorithmically. I'm here for that. Or anything in between. Like I said, I'm new to this, and I just want to kind of see where it takes me. So let's see. I don't want to get quite into live coding just yet. Still want to talk about overview. Um, I said I'll talk about the challenges. So software engineering, software programming is a very, very, very mentally draining profession, especially when you're new to it. Especially when you're new to it, because everything is pattern based. See, what's going to happen is you're going to get into software development and you're going to be really eager. And then you're going to hit your first wall where you can't figure out basic application of neural networks. I'll get there, Chaz. Oh, trying to run before people can crawl. But basically, you're going to hit a wall and you're going to like pull your head out and you're like, I don't know how to figure this out. And you're going to give up, but you're going to stick through it. And after you stick through it, it's going to happen again. And then this next time, it's going to be a little less challenging. And then you're going to see another problem, and another problem, another problem. And eventually, what's going to happen is you're going to see a pattern, a class of problems, and then you can just be able to go to the next assignment and be like, oh, yeah, I've written an app like this. I know what to do. And then after that, it gets exponentially easier. Um, Sometimes I go on coding sprees, and I'll write 3 apps over the weekend. They're not what I would call production ready. They're minimal viable products or MVPs, but just to get the creative juices flowing, I always like to just think up of random apps and do it. And I put them on GitHub, which I'm going to explain what GitHub is, but in a nutshell, it is think of it like a social network for software developers. You can put your code up on there, and companies love to look at programmers' GitHub to see what they're capable of. So I always like to put my stuff up on there. Um, so yeah, the main hurdle is that it's very mentally draining, but the payoff, besides monetarily, software developers do make a lot of money, especially and if you can become an independent application developer, your earning potential is limitless. But besides that, it's the satisfaction of creation, the fact that you can use your hands and actually create something that will provide for you, even if it's only giving you a little bit. I remember I had apps. They were only giving me like $1 a month, and I was wondering, is it even worth the time investing in these things? And now, um, you know, one of my apps by itself will pay my rent. So if I don't do any work, I know that I'll at least have a roof over my head, and the satisfaction from that is way worth more, way worth, way, what I'm trying to say, worth way more than the actual money that it brings in. Becoming a software developer gives you a sense of self-reliance. Because at the end of the day, if you can never find work, you could always make it. Always. So those are really the two trade-offs. Unless you guys are asking questions, I don't think this first episode is probably going to be an hour. Um, starting tomorrow, I'm going to actually go into setting up an environment. We're going to start with web programming. And eventually, if you stick with me, you're going to learn web programming, you're going to learn Android development, and you're going to learn iOS development. So bear with me. This first episode, I just kind of want to give you an overview. So, what is the difference between a software developer or a software programmer and a software engineer? This is a question that I get asked a lot, and some people say, oh, they're interchangeable, and they're not. A software programmer or coder is just someone who knows how to write computer code. A software engineer is someone who uses computer code to engineer a business solution. So, let me give you an example. Let's go back to what I was saying about the Excel sheet. So let's say you have to write a script to add all the invoices up. That you're just writing code. You're not really solving a you're not really engineering a solution because you're just using something that's already there. Where a software engineer will have to we've never made this application. Let's say a real time media streaming application. We've never made this application before. We only have these kinds of servers that can carry this much load. We need an application that can fit within these constraints. That is software engineering. Um, that's when you're really getting a programmer doesn't really need to know application theory or algorithm theory because the computers now are so powerful that we don't really have to worry about the constraints that we used to have to worry about in the 90s and late 80s. But someone who needs to write a real-time trading application, they better have studied up on their theory, on their logic, because at that level it's really advanced mathematics. If you don't want to be a software engineer and you just want to be a software programmer, more or less you're good on math. I mean, if you understand basic algebra, you can code. But if you are trying to be like a NASA programmer, you or a NASA engineer rather, you're really gonna have to delve into advanced mathematics. So, uh, I'm studying a lot of matrix algebra. I'm studying a lot of differential calculus, stuff like that, because I want to do stuff with physics engines, and also I I basically ultimately I want to write a virtual reality video games. That's my goal for this year. I'm actually going to live stream me doing my first game in Unity. Well, it's not my first game. I've done it before, but I haven't touched Unity in a couple years because I've been focusing on apps. So I downloaded a new version of Unity, and I'm going to go through that whole spiel. Da, 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 da. Software and big O notation, time complexity, yeah, all that. That's that engineer stuff. That's the difference between the engineer and the programmer. If you go to somebody and you ask them what the big O notation is of that algorithm and they can't answer it, they're not a software engineer. They're a software programmer. But I'll get into all that way down the line. Where am I at? Where am I at? Where am I at? Oh yeah, entrepreneurship and software development. So I'm not gonna lie. The first, so I was a sole proprietor when I started my Jake Peer Solutions in high school, and I incorporated when I moved out to California 2 years ago. And for the first, well, even the first year, I say the first like 8 months, and I was living out in the Bay Area. I was struggling. It was hard. I'm not even gonna lie, it was hard. But the moment I got that first breakthrough, I haven't looked back. It's just been good sailing. So the demand is so high that this is the perfect, and the demand is so high and the supply is so low in the IT industry. This is the perfect time to learn how to code and start a company. Whether you want to do consulting or you want to do the independent route, or yeah, because I'm talking about starting a business. That there's no better time. You have free resources. You got me. You got stuff like W3 schools. You have the actual documentation for all of these languages and stuff, because 90% of them are what's called open source, which means that the source code is open to the public. So you literally have the documentation right there. It literally costs you nothing, or close to nothing. You're gonna have to go to get a laptop, or if you just want to do JavaScript, you can even just go to the library. I did that for a while when I didn't have a computer. I would literally go to the library and use their computers and check out their books and learn how to code. No other industry will allow you to do that and achieve tangible results that fast. So I implore you. Um, let's see. Let me just show you how much you can make as a software developer. So this is, let me Control Shift 2. Do you see it? Yeah, you see it. Cool. This is Stripe. Stripe is a platform that allows developers to create apps that take payments online. This is the wrong one. Master Shakes are right. So in the last 30 days, that's how much I made from my apps. So, and this is stuff that I haven't had to really touch. This is passive income. So, at this rate, I I say I make enough for it to pay my rent, but I'm forgetting that it's there. I'm just letting it stack up. So I'm still just paying all my bills and stuff how I normally do. But the fact that I can just build something that can do that, I mean, it just gives you, like I said, a sense of pride. So even if you decide that you don't want to be a programmer full time, I mean, what's the harm in learning and putting something out there? Even if you make $50, that's $50 you didn't have before. That's $50 that you only have to do work for one time. You know what I'm saying? I only wrote this app one time, and then that's just one of my sources. And then I also got ad money coming in from my YouTube channel, from my blog, from my mobile apps. So these are multiple streams that are on the side to addition to what I'm doing actively. So what else? Chaz, what should I talk about? Give me something to talk about. What am I missing to people who are new to this? What are your questions? I know there's people. I know y'all got questions. Nobody? All right. Well, let me tell you how this is going to go down. So like I said, I'm going to teach you guys web programming first. And the reason I'm going to do that is, oh wait, I'm still showing my screen, aren't I? My bad. There you go. Talk about the difference between scripting language and compiled. Right. So in programming, you have two kinds of programs. You have compiled languages, and you have scripted languages. Now, what's the difference? Compiled programs have to go through what's called a compiler. Now, a compiler basically takes all the dependencies that's needed for this application, bundles it all together, and gives you an executable. So, on Windows, you'll get like a .exe. On Mac, you'll get a .dmg, or on Linux, whatever file format, because it's Linux. Whereas a scripted language goes to what's called an interpreter. So, for example, JavaScript or PHP, as I was saying earlier, Laravel uses PHP, which is a scripting language. That means that if you make a change, you can just run it through the interpreter and get real time up and update the program in real time. Whereas a compile code, if you make a change, you're gonna have to recompile the whole program. You get what I'm saying? So you have compiled, which is its own bundle, scripted, which goes to interpreter with other scripts. You can interchange them out. Uh, Generally, compiled programs are faster. General rule. Let's see what else. What else? What else? So, like I said, I'm gonna go through and teach you guys web development first. So, the reason I'm gonna do that is one, the barrier for web development is really low. You can set up a server at your house for no money, or for $5 a month, you can set up a server in the cloud. Um, Anybody in the world can access it, whether on their phone, on their tablet, on their desktop, on their PlayStation 4. On it doesn't matter. So you don't have to. So you can hit all audiences. And then another thing is, by making the web application first, you can also, if you decide to make a mobile application, you can do the web with the backend to feed to your mobile application. So, or not only that, you can write what's called an API, application programming interface, and allow other people to write programs using your um, software. So whenever you notice things like log in with Facebook, log in with Twitter, somebody's using the Facebook or Twitter API to connect Facebook with their application. So we're gonna go through, and because PHP is my um, best language, we're gonna go through and learn PHP as a basic, as the bare language. After we do that, we're gonna switch over and learn um, JavaScript, the basics of JavaScript. And after we do, and that is gonna, JavaScript is the front end language. So that's what you see on the websites when you click on a button on a website and it jumps up and down or does this, that, and the other. More or less, it's probably using JavaScript. Where PHP is the back end language that's doing the manipulation and stuff I was talking about earlier. So after we do that, after we learn the basics of PHP and JavaScript, I'm going to teach you guys Laravel, and which is the web framework I was talking about. So it has JavaScript, PHP dependencies, puts them together. You get this nice little package. It handles stuff for talking to databases and all the stuff you're going to need to write a full-fledged application. And after I do the basics for Laravel development, we're gonna cruise with that for a few weeks. Write some apps. I'm gonna teach you guys also how to use some tools such as Git, which is what powers GitHub, which I was talking about earlier. We're gonna learn the terminal commands. We're gonna learn, just Linux, the operating system in general. Learn how to use virtual machines. We're going to use Laravel Homestead for our environment. And then after we do a few of those, then we'll switch over and do Android development. Well, I'm gonna hold a poll. Actually, the poll should be up at the top. Should click that little information button. I'm asking which software or which kind of applications you guys want to learn more, uh, iOS or Android. We're going to do web first, but after that, I'm going to give you guys a choice whether you want to do Android or iOS first. Talk about APIs and feeding those to various front ends: Angular, VJS, iOS, and Android. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, APIs, or application programming interfaces, are the software packages that allow software to talk to other software. So most APIs are over the HTTP protocol, which is what you type in. Right now you're on HTTPS. S is for secure. www.youtube.com/whatever. You should make a Flutter app. What is Flutter? So anyway, so your APIs can feed into your JavaScript, or your web front end. It could feed into your Android, or it could feed into your iOS, or it could feed into your other back end applications such as PHP or Ruby scripts. So like I was saying, Flutter compiles to both iOS and Android. Okay, I was gonna do Ionic 2, and I was just thinking about doing React Native. I hadn't heard of Flutter, but I'm gonna check it out though. I'm definitely gonna check out Flutter. Flutter. I'm checking it out right now actually. What is it? Flutter.io. Yep. Flutter is a new project. High fidelity apps. Okay. What do you write it in? Set up your machine. Getting started. Let's look at these how-tos. Developer guide, widgets, sample usage, Dart. Okay, I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check that out. I mean, I'm always I love learning new technologies. That's how I've learned everything else. Just messing around, fucking around with new technologies, breaking shit, fixing it again, and breaking it some more. But yeah, so I'm gonna do hybrid app development as well as native app development. It's because some of the stuff that you can do natively still isn't. You still can't quite get there with hybrid, even though for MVP sake, I think hybrid is the way to go. Um, yeah. So let's see. We've been talking about 37 minutes now. It's pretty good. We got 4 people watching. I appreciate the love. So yeah, I was talking about APIs. So like I said, so when you make an API, you can interact with it with anything. It just opens it up to the world. So the cool thing about that is, like I said, you can give developers access so they can write their own applications and it links back to you. Or you can use that to write your own further applications and various front ends, whether it's Android, iOS, Windows Mobile, BlackBerry Mobile, Symbian Mobile, Raspberry Pi. It doesn't matter. So where was I at? So yeah, so I was saying, I'm gonna hold a poll, and whatever one you guys want to learn, whoever votes the most on it and tells me which one they want to know more iOS or Android development, that's the one I'm gonna do first, and then after I do some tutorials on that, then I'll switch back and switch to the other one and do some tutorials on that. And then after I get a nice little even field, it's really just gonna be up to user suggestions of what you guys want me to write. Um, but that being said, guys, don't forget to go to my website. That's JyroneParker.com. It's actually, I'm gonna put it in the description. And changes being saved, so you should see that. But I think that's everything. I don't know, Stuart, if you're still tuned in. Do you have anything you want to add? And the other people who are logged in, anything you want to add? Like I said, today was going to be pretty dry. Tomorrow, tune in tomorrow. We're actually going to start coding. I'm going to walk you guys through how to download Laravel Homestead, which is going to be the environment that we're going to do all of our coding in as far as web development is concerned. And then we're actually going to do a couple PHP examples. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about PHP, the history of it, how to write your first program, how to do basic operations, and I'm just going to basically, after that, I'm going to give you guys a bunch of homework assignments. And I would love to, I need you guys to tell me what you guys are struggling on, what you guys, if I'm going too slow, if I'm going too fast. I really need feedback. This live stream thing is really contingent on your feedback. Shout out to my brother Brandon Abram for getting me on this. He's a professional gamer. He does Twitch. Totally got me on this using this OBS software. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. I think I'm gonna wrap it up.